What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Aligning the Stars. I'm Jordan, and we are back today with the penultimate episode of the Havoc Marauder build series. Oh man, this has been a lot of fun to build, and especially coming back to it over the last couple days and doing some recording with it and knowing that I'm going to be finishing it up today. It's pretty exciting. And so, before you guys see that, you get to see this part. And in this part, I went ahead and looked, and the putty that I have, the model putty that I have, is Tester's. From everything I understand, Tester's model putty is complete ass. So we are not going to be using that. Just a decision made. I went ahead and looked at the model. There are no real pieces that needed the putty outside of right here. And I alluded to it in the previous episode. What I did is I've been letting this cure for a little while, and I got it all set. And what we did is we took our Tamiya extra thin cement, and I picked this up at the, basically, a commenter, I'll go ahead and throw his name up here, said, "You are not going to be sad. You will not regret picking this up," basically. And so I went ahead and picked this up, and correct, Mundo. I think we found the glue that we're going to be using for most of our models going forward. Another viewer as well pointed out on the Falcon series that model glue will not work because that model's made out of ABS. And so in that case, we're going to wind up using super glue because super glue works best with that surface. And so learning that, glues work differently with different types of plastic, and it's pretty cool. Like, science is everywhere, and if you don't appreciate science, I don't know what the hell you're doing. So, anyway, personal opinions aside. And so where we are going to start today is we're going to go ahead and start by basically taking all of these little pieces and assembling them to the center portion of the model, basically where, the crew lives and all that jazz. And then we're going to, this has been sitting and curing for a little while, and so at the very end, when we're ready for final assembly, we're going to go ahead and pop that off and see how we did there. Oh, no, stay. All right. And so, yeah, we're going to go ahead and assemble our guns. We're going to go ahead and throw on our engines, the rear of the ship, and then we're going to go ahead and put together the landing structure for the ship as well. And then we're going to go ahead and assemble the final model. And as we are separating all of our pieces out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take time on the pieces. There's only going to be just a couple that are going to need a little bit of paint work. After we separate our sprues, or pieces from our sprues, I'm going to basically just do touch-up paint wherever it's necessary. Like on the landing struts here at the very ends, it's just going to be glue points, and so I'm not going to bother with doing any sort of cleanup paint work there. I'm just going to make sure that my ends are clean and straight so that the struts are sitting in there properly. And then for here, like when we're separating our sprues, I'm just going to put a little bit of our gray paint along here. As once we get everything separated and painted and cured, we will then go ahead and do our final assembly. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and move some of my pieces out of the way here. Set everything nice and displayed. As you can see, we got my nice new little pad here. Finally arrived. So let's see here. We're going to go ahead and start with assembling our guns, and let's see where the connection is for where it mates up with the ship. It's got a special like half moon shape in there, so I'm not going to clean up that end, but we are going to clean up this end with some paint after we're done separating our pieces out. And we're not going to separate everything out all at once. I already have the cowls, which are right here, and they are ready to go. I did take some time before shooting to clean up all of our connection points. Anywhere where there's like little, where these pieces fit in, I wanted to make sure to not waste any time by having to like file out the pieces. And so, yeah. And then what I have here is this fancy pantsy little paint stand thing that I picked up. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get my pieces ready in here. And we'll have the point in proper direction so I can actually paint it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and grab our silver paint. And we're going to need that in 2 different places. And so I'm going to go ahead and separate out our engines. And I'll show you what I'm working with here. So I've been kind of like looking around and trying to figure out what I'm going to do for like holding pieces and paint stand. I have ruined my helping hands thing in my little paint booth. And so I picked something else up, and this kind of moves around, and I can take these pieces in and out, and I can move them and what have you. So we'll see how this works out. It was a fairly cheap find on Amazon, so we'll see. So far, so good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my pieces. Go ahead and separate. Kind of go back on what I just said. I'll separate my pieces because if I'm going to be using light colors, I want to try to make sure that all the light colors that I'm going to be using. Oh, that cleaned up real nice. Wow. Okay. Huh. That cleaned up real nice. That's kind of nutty. Don't need to do anything with that. The silver or whatever, for whatever reason, just kind of worked its way through. Okay. There. That one's definitely going to need a little bit of work. Yep, as will that one. So we'll go ahead and put this right here. No, we'll put it right here. So I can kind of work with it. There we go. So far, so good. I'm liking that. And I think we are done with this sprue. That's pretty cool. And then let's go ahead and separate out our feet. Go ahead and slide you out of the way there, buddy. Yeah, those are definitely going to need to get cleaned up real fast. So we'll take the moment. And we'll leave all of these as they will not be necessary for cleanup. And this is one of our feet. And then the remaining pieces here. Let's see here. 21 and 23 we don't do anything with. 19A we don't do anything with. That. And then I just want to make sure. Take a look at my instructions here. Then 21, 23 we actually do something with. There are the feet. And also the covers, which is kind of cool. For when the model is in the flying position. This piece we'll just put in our little collection of model pieces that haven't gotten used. Alright, we'll set that off to the side for the moment. And then this is just going to require separation and cleanup. So let's go ahead and start here. Square our end. And that's the big thing here, and making sure that any paint over spray. The thing that I've learned is the paint, although done with a airbrush, definitely like adds thickness to the model. So just make sure we're cleaning up our connection point here. Cleaned up at the other end so it's ready for it. Go ahead and set that off to the side. It's ready to go. That's good. Now that's going to need a little bit of paint. Unfortunately. So, let's get this. Microphone's just slightly off camera there, so I had to kind of do it in a weird way. That one's just going to need a little bit of paint. So I can actually turn these. Something I didn't think about elsewise. That one's going to need a little bit of cleanup. A little bit of paint on each side. The gray paint is kind of a thicker paint. It's messy. So I'm going to eventually replace all my testers with Tamiya, more than likely. I'm liking the Tamiya paints that I do have, but The Tamayas that I do have are not applicable here because they're more bright colors. Alright. So now, well, how handy is that? It's all 8 little pieces here. Have a thing on it, and that is pretty cool and pretty handy. So let's go ahead and grab our paint. Let's start with our silver. So, I'm going to go with our smaller brush here for some detail work. And the silver is just such a, as I said in the last episode, it's such a beauty to work with. Just goes on so nice. Okay. So now, I'm just going to turn this thing. There we are. A little on the point there. We're separated it from the sprue. Same here. And then I'm going to take a look at this one here. I said it was nice. It's kind of a... could use a little bit of love. There we go. So for that one, not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. I don't know what to do with my hands. So I'm going to, I don't know, blow on it real quick. I'm going to go ahead and clean out my brush, blow on this thing for a second, which is a weird thing to say, and I'll be right back. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to our gray. Let's go ahead and get this opened. It's kind of nice working on a nice flat surface here. I'm gotta be honest. Been waiting for this thing for about 2 weeks. Got a really stupid good deal on it, and so unfortunately, like, I had to wait for it. It was like $4 on Amazon. It was like on a special right before Christmas deal. And so, yeah, I was pretty pleased with that. Oh, that's really nice to paint on. I gotta be real. So that doesn't need any work. Oh, yeah. This thing's great. I've also picked up a turntable. And it's basically like a stand, so you're able to paint cars on it, and then saucer sections. If we're talking about some ships we got coming up here soon. So yeah, it's kind of nice. Picked it up after a certain saucer section that's coming up here soon as well. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Yeah, I kind of destroyed my piece. I don't know. Gotta tighten that back up there. We'll fix that later. I destroyed my helping hands, like I said, and it's kind of needing something for this sort of work. Well, so this thing has already paid for itself. Somehow it caught paint. I didn't know how I got silver paint everywhere. This thing has already paid for itself. I love it. I love the fact that it's already got paint on it. That makes me so happy. I don't like the thought of having something that's meant for hobbies and not be dirty. Gotta be real. I was like, wait, what is this nonsense? Okay. Yeah, this has been nice. It's gonna be nice finishing up this model today. I'm looking forward to doing my traditional. I'm gonna stare at you and look at you and go, I built you. Looking forward to shooting the beauty shots. I'm actually finding some fun with like editing it and like part of editing, like, you know, like basic editing is, you know, just getting the videos out. But what I've found that you start to get good at is like creative editing, and you know, that's where it really starts to get satisfying. And so that's like where the beauty shots kind of come in. This is fairly easy to edit these videos, as long as I don't stumble over my words too much, which happens. So if you ever see like really weird, awkward cuts, I'm like, duh. Yeah, I've been known to say the wrong thing. Okay, so now I am going to go ahead and let this dry. I'm going to clean up my brush, and I think that's going to be it for our detail painting. We're ready for assembly as soon as this finishes drying. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Well, from my perspective, a few minutes. We'll be back in just a second. Okay, so while we let some paint dry instead of watching it, because, you know, the old adage about something, watching paint dry something. Yeah, we're not doing that. So we're going to go ahead and move on and get this process finished while that paint is drying. So we're going to go ahead and start here at the back of the ship. The guns are currently still drying right now. I can install them, and we're going to do them here very quickly, as it's just the points that are drying, but I just want to give them as much time. And so I'm going to set that right there. And we are going to start with installing our engines here first. So let's go ahead and get our glue open. So yeah, I really enjoyed this glue. It's got just a fine point on it, on the brush. It's so nice. It smells though, let me tell you. It's a smelly one. Mr. Grinch, for sure. We're just gonna get that on the post. And then from here, go ahead and just drop a little bead right here along the edges. And that's why I really like the brush. It goes precisely where I want it to go. So now, didn't pull out my tweezers for this one, so we're just going to go ahead and freehand this one and click it into place. Cool. Very nice. Alright, make sure that's kind of settled in, and the glue's going to do its work pretty quick. So let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. Right inside there. Yeah, you were right about the glue. For sure. Not at all sad about this whole situation. This is so much more preferable to the way it was. Okay. Is there a back tab on this one? So for whatever reason, I may have shaved it off or cut it off, but for whatever reason, the other side didn't have the back tab. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into place. The back tab. Oh my. Some tweezers would be good here with your big old fat fingers, Jordan, but they're sitting behind you in your little box on your bed. There we go. Nice into place. Okay. So, we got our blue engines in place. It's pretty cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and pull from our little display here our engine piece, and this one looks like it goes, which way do the engines go? So it goes this way, so that's going to go in here. That, yep, is ready. So I'm going to take a little bit of glue, drop it right inside here, and then a bead of glue right along there. Ah, so nice. And right in we go. Very nice. That gives it a really cool effect. So now I'm just going to kind of hold it in place for a moment, and we'll be right back. Alright, that one's in place. Let's go ahead and do that for the other side. nice. Love it. Love how simple that is. Very nice. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty satisfying. Cool. Alright. I'm going to hold this one down for a second. We'll be right back. Okay, so that looks nice and dry. Are we moving still a little bit? Yeah, just a tiny little bit, but we're good to go. Alright, let's go ahead and install the rear turret, also known as Omega's bedroom. Go ahead and get into a click point. And then, the way it kind of comes in, I was looking at it. I think we get some, I'm not going to apply glue until I'm sure. Yep. So then we have glue up along this top point here. Oh, that is so nice. Thank you for the suggestion. The sort of tips and tricks, questions, and comments that I love to see. And that help us so much. So now, I'm going to go ahead and hold that into place for a minute or two. I'll be right back. Alright, that's nice and put in place. Wow, coming together real quick and nice and easy. I'm really digging this. Alright, let's go ahead and install the rear window here. And how is this going to go in? It looks like it goes in just like this. And so all I'm going to do is glue the 4 connection points. And then run a bead just down the seam here. Try to be careful with our glue. Oh, that went in so nice. No problems. Check it out. It's pretty dope. Oh, it's coming together. Literally. Love it. Alright, now we're going to take, I'm going to make sure the gun, see how it mounts. Looks like it mounts. Is that face down? Yep, just like that. So we're going to take our glue and run it. There's a little hole right here, so we're going to run the glue in and up. And drop that right in. You know, I may want to actually take a little bit of glue here. Like that. Yeah, that's better. Let's make sure it's straight. This glue is glorious. It's like already like setting. Oh man, I love it. That's the problem. Like, I mean, that I was having with the testers. It used to be the gold standard back in the day, and it makes me so sad that it's not anymore. Okay, so there we have the rear of the ship assembled. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, we just kind of that. Oh, cool. All right, I'm not gonna worry about that gap too much. I wish we could do more about getting it put together. Yeah, I bet you we could. And I may off camera, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Here is definitely a candidate for some putty. But once again, like I said, testers used to be the gold standard. And I guess it makes sense. Like, you know, like businesses have to start and build from somewhere. And like, you know, if the basis is testers, then you want to be better than that. And everything that I've found that's non-testers is better than it. So, I think we'll just go ahead and leave that as is. And just once again, mile markers and like progression. I get to look at these models and say, cool, this was at the beginning and here was what was next and here was what was next after that. And, you know, yeah, super cool. Okay, so as I talk way too much, let's go ahead and get these pieces put in. I'm going to go ahead and pull them off of our little paint stand here thingy. our two pieces off. There we go, our two cannons. Very nice. So we are going to start, looks like the flat part. Let's make sure we're fitting properly. I said I cleaned up my connection points, and I did. Yep, that goes in real nice. Okay. So, we are going to just put our glue right here. And then, just a little bit of glue right around the outside. And we'll do one side at a time. So, let's go ahead and get that one installed. Right in. Beautiful. And we'll just go ahead and let that set in place. Let it sit up. And let's go ahead and get the other side installed. Glue in there, and then around the outside. This glue, I'm loving it. Game changer. Game changer. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I keep saying thank you, but thank you so much. Oh, that's in and solid. Okay, so now here are little cowling pieces right here. We're going to go ahead and start by putting our glue there, and then we're going to run a bead along here. And I think we can do the same thing over here real quick, so we can just quickly assemble both sides. There we go. Let's go ahead and quickly click that one into place, if it's going to go. Wonder if I should have put these in first. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, it looks like I needed to put these ones in first. Once again, my knock against Polar Lights models is they don't give you the order in which you should be installing the pieces. Which matters. Absolutely, oh my goodness. Absolutely matters. So, now, let's quickly put some more glue down. Get our piece put back into place. I know you can't see what I'm doing here, but now I was able to get that put into place real nice. Yeah. I had to like kind of bend the turrets in the back here as I was holding it against my chest. That makes sense now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this goes in here. Kind of clicks into place and becomes one unit before it all goes in. So I'm going to keep that in mind. God, that would have been helpful in the instructions. Thankfully, all of this is not going to be seen, so the destructiveness that I've just created on this model will be hidden behind a veil of glue and happy thoughts. And we got the front of our ship assembled. So now I'm just going to make sure that these are both pointed forward properly. I'm going to let these sit and dry for a moment, and we will be right back. Okay, so as we let our turrets dry, let's go ahead and assemble the struts before we grab the feet, and we're going to continue to just let them dry for as much as we can. So I got the glue bottle, kind of using the glue bottle as a prop point. I'm going to go ahead and drop my glue just into the connection points, making sure to get all sides. I know the bottom of the model won't be seen too much, but still, for the sake of doing this well. Get that in place, and then I'm going to quickly make sure that I've got everything lined up properly. There's one of these that I didn't paint the bottoms of too. That's that one. So that's going to go on the bottom. I want to make sure that these are pointing straight, is what I was trying to allude to. So that when the landing gear are attached, everything is all copacetic. I probably got glue over here, but I just want to get double check to make sure. I say no glue required, and I gotta be real, I'm calling bullshit on that. There's no way that this thing would sit. These would not snap into place. They're just moving around freely on their own. Some tweezers, Jordan. Grab tweezers in between segments, that'd be good. Yeah, these are just freely moving around like no big deal. Be very careful. Yeah, this glue set's real nice. Nice and quick. Now, do a little bit of our glue weld. Bottom of each one. Because it's super thin, gets right down into the seam, which is exactly what I like. And this one fits in just like that. Okay. So right in. Did I get that in the correct way though? Goes in. Yes. Wow. Yeah, that went in real nice. Alright. So I'm going to give these probably about 10 minutes to dry. And we will be right back. Alright. So I went ahead and let this dry for about 20 minutes while I was offloading the previous couple of segments from my phone onto the computer, and gave it some nice time to set properly, and everything is nice and firm. And so let's go ahead and start with the front leg, and then the rear ones we're going to have to assemble in a couple different pieces. So let's go ahead and grab our glue, and we're going to go ahead and just drop it in here, and go ahead and affix it into place right there. Make sure it sets all the way down. Hold it in place for just a moment. And the foot is settled in. Very nice. Okay, easy peasy. So now, what we're going to do here on each one of these feet is we're going to take these and apply them to the tops. So we're going to grab some glue. Make sure we get a nice coverage here in each one of those holes. Okay. Remember to grab my tweezers. Doesn't look like there's any particular way they're supposed to go. Right into place. Very nice. Now, let's grab the other one. Nice. Quickly. Yeah, that was very nice. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our glue, just drop that in each one of these holes there. And we are going to start on this side. Go ahead and get these attached. And before I do the next one, I'm going to need to clean it up a little bit. There we go. Having to push. Oof. Yeah. Kind of bent that one there. It went right back into place. I need to clean up my connection. Be right back. Yeah. I think eventually a Dremel would be nice. I've got a ghetto one that came in the model kit that I bought, but I don't know. Probably won't use that one. Doesn't have much power. Almost. Is that one clicked in? Yeah, almost. Yeah, definitely some overspray going on here. Lessons learned, my friends. Lessons learned. Well, it's moving around a little bit. I'm going to try to get this done with as minimal effort as possible. There we go. Perfect. Glue on there. Make sure our feet are facing the proper direction. Get that in place. And make sure everything's straight. And let's see how she sits. Okay, sits well. And so now I'm going to leave that sitting like that for about 5 minutes. We'll be right back. Okay, so I think we are ready for our final assembly. Super cool, y'all. So I think let's start with getting the most crucial component on, and that's going to be the cockpit. This has been sitting for several hours now. Let's see how our glue job turned out. Gloriously. Very nice. That was going to need a severe petty job, and I was able to correct it just by getting the glue down in there and then holding it in place for a little while. So let's make sure our pieces fit. And it looks like we should be good. I want to go ahead and sand up our connection here. Well, as with anything, a little bit of cleanup work always will solve the problem. So, yeah, there was, like, when the plastic pieces all came together, like, it didn't quite line up properly, and so there was, like, slight little tabs sitting on the inside that was preventing it from coming through. So I took about 5 minutes or so of just kind of careful manipulation, and was able to get our piece put in and get it straight. So what I'm going to do in between episodes is I'm going to put some glue in here, and I'm going to let this dry again, because I was kind of like, in the process of pushing, I kind of like messed it up. So lessons learned. So let's go ahead and install. These pieces are not going to be glued. We're just going to install our wings, because they're meant to be moved. It's messing up the paint. In the next episode, we'll go through and finish up our paint for sure. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Well, Jordan, we're going to go ahead and take these off because I'm not going to mess with those anymore. Really helps if you're putting it in on the right side. Okay, so I am just doing things to this model right now. Getting this in here has been incredibly difficult. Got it in correctly, then put it in upside down on the wrong side. And I'm like, why doesn't that look right? Yeah, just rubbing the paint off. There we go. There it is. Gosh. There we go. Now, let's get it set in its proper position. I think once I get it in its proper landed position, I'm actually just going to glue. Is that how it sits? Just like that. Oh, goodness. Yeah, in between episodes, definitely taking some glue, coming back through my connection points. This is incredibly difficult here. There it is. And when it's landed, it's like that. Okay. It only goes so far, and it goes that far. Oh my god. Let's struggle. I knew there was going to come a point. So, I think the lesson that I've learned here is that I need to focus on where these all connect up and make sure, once again, like, the lesson here has already been learned, actually, now that I think about it. No, yeah, that one right in, because of course it did. Because of course it did. There we go. And these are going to get glued right now. We're not. No, they're staying. This thing will be permanently in the wings up position. But actually, I gotta say, that looks pretty dope. Okay. So let's get our... Not in between. Let's go ahead and redo our feet here. Should take just a moment. There we go. Yep, just a moment. Just a moment. Corporate accounts, Nina speaking. Just a moment. There we go. Second one here. Yeah, my connection points I need to be focusing on where, like when I'm planning out my model, when I'm planning out my paint, when I'm doing all of those things, I need to be paying attention to my connection points and looking ahead and looking the proper way. So, feet put back on. Now, for whatever reason, this piece is not wanting to go in straight, even though it was going in straight just a moment ago. There we go. Let's get our glue into our places. I'm just going to load the glue up here. The extra thin glue just gets in there. Like the super glue. And in the next episode, like I said, we'll clean up all of our paint with our base coat. There we are. Ugh. I knew there was going to be some struggle before the end of this. Everything was going nice and smooth. But, you know, as with all of this, we learn. Wings match. Feet are fixed. Let's make sure the feet actually are sitting properly. So we do that by pushing down on the model and kind of rocking it back and forth until you feel it sit properly. There we go. That's glued there. Take my glue. Probably get it along here. I thought about finishing it tonight. I was like all ambitious, but I need to let this sit and dry for a little while. Okay, and for our last piece of assembly, my friends, and the last little bit, well, before we put Omega's house back in place, also known as the rear turret. Make sure we get along the inside here. Yeah, thanks for watching the struggle with me, as always. It's always entertaining, I'm assuming. I'm hoping so. That was super satisfying right there. Yeah, that going right into place. That was nice of that to cooperate. Let's go ahead and get this piece put back into place. I'm going to get some extra glue on there because for whatever reason it just came off. And when I say for whatever reason, you know, me hand-handing everything. Right into place. Alright, my friends. Our assembly is complete. In between episodes, I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to finish getting all my stuff glued up here. Just pay attention to my connection points and all that jazz. But let me fix that and push that up. Focus right here. And if I have to, I have my Tamiya putty coming. So I may putty through here, but now that it's in place, I'm likely not. But there it is, fully assembled. There's our model. So in the next episode, in our finale next week, be sure to tune in. We're going to finish up our final paint, our base color on the rest of it. You will see it, all of its glory, all of its final pieces put together and glued in without being all janktified, as I have ham-handed everything. Lessons learned for sure in this episode. Definitely want to say thank you so much for watching. I know there's a million things y'all could have been doing today, and instead you spent a couple of minutes watching me build a model, and I appreciate that. If you guys have any tips, tricks, questions, comments, please leave them down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And until we see each other again, my friends, next week for the finale, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world. And remember, the Force will be with you, always.